girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Females made you just touching me, Hi, love bunnies. I hope you guys are all doing so well. In today's video, we will be recreating the look that I had on in my intro video. It was a simple, smoky, everyday eye look, and it was also simple to achieve. And if you guys would like to see how it all came together, just continue to watch. Let's do it. Usually I start with eye makeup first, especially if I'm going to be doing a smoky eye. But because this is a simple look, we could do face first. So I'm going to be going in with, I already cleaned my face. So I'm going to do a moisturizer from the brand Goldfaden MD. Now, honestly speaking, this is me trying this out for the first time because this was in a Ipsy bag that, if you see me looking off, it's because I'm looking into my other mirror. It came in a Ipsy bag that I said, you know what, let me try it out for the first time because I never did Ipsy before. And I heard, like, you know, you could get cool little products in there. We are trying this out together for the first time, okay? It's going to be a lot of firsts in this videos, okay? This is going to be my first makeup look that I do on my channel. This is going to be a first of a few products, first of a few items. And we're going to see what happens, okay? So now that we have our moisturizer on, we are going to go in with a primer. And this is from Dr. Brandt. Now, again, this is small because this was also my Ipsy bag, so I'm trying out for the first time. A little fun fact about me, I really don't utilize primer because I strongly believe that if your base, such as your moisturizer, is good, it has like a good glycerin or silicone in it and it's hydrating, you wouldn't need a primer. But like I said, because I'm showing you guys how you could achieve it, these are the steps that I'm taking for you guys. But also, when I have clients, it also is better to utilize a primer. Say if it's for a wedding or an everyday look, or say if it's something important, it makes sense to put on a primer. Now that we have our moisturizer and primer on, I'm going to use a face mist. This is also from, yes, my Ipsy bag. You guys guessed it. This is from the brand Dragon's Blood. And supposedly it has hyaluronic acid, which hyaluronic acid helps with hydration onto the skin. So I'm going to spray some. Let it dry a little bit. So it's supposed to add hydration and tone. So we're going to see how that really works and how it wears. We want to really have a good foundation, which is, you know, prepping the skin. So now when we lay the foundation and blush and bronze and everything else on it, everything sets in and settles how it's supposed to. So now that we have on our moisturizer, our primer, and we added a hydrating and toning spray, we are set to now do our foundation. So I have 3 foundations that I'm going to be utilizing to get the shade that matches me. A little bit on the back of my hand. And with the True Match, it is a warm, so it pulls more warm. And what that means is also going to pull orange, which we don't really want that. The NYX Blur foundation is a little bit more golden. And so that's gonna warm it up a tiny bit. And then my E.L.F, I have, it's the lighter shade. Now with my skin tone, if you look at me, you probably could say I could get away with light medium. I think I'm a true medium, but my undertones is definitely warm. So I could get away with light medium to medium. What I will say though about the E.L.F Soft Glam, it is inexpensive. It is affordable in my opinion. And I do like the consistency and the texture of it, but I just need to get my actual color to see how it actually wears by itself. Now, if you look at it, it definitely looks lighter than my skin tone, right? Then now this is the Blur. Now you don't have to apply your makeup like this with the little dots, but I do it. But also on this channel is gonna be, I'm gonna try to give as much tips and tricks as I can while I'm letting you guys know what it is that I do, but also how we could tweak it to you. You know, I think when it comes to these makeup videos, a lot of the time, you know, people who do videos, they make it seem as though it's I'm using a flathead brush. They make it seem as though this is a one size fits all. And that's not true when it comes to makeup, right? You have to know your skin tone. You have to know what looks good on you. You have to know what your undertones are. You have to know also technique, you know. And I think that a lot of the times, yes, there are videos that are useful and helpful, you know, let's be very clear here, but we have to keep in mind that you got to take the information that makes sense for you and leave the rest to the side, you know. And I don't think a lot of people understand that as a viewer. So that's why when you guys watch my channel, I want you guys to always take away something and understand I'm doing makeup techniques that make sense for my face shape, that makes sense for my skin tone, that makes sense for my eye shape, you know. And so you guys can't just always go out and say, I'm gonna do exactly what Lena did, you know, because it's not always gonna work. You have to tweak things a bit, you know. Like, for example, I have a round face, so that means the way that I place my contour and the way that I place my blush would be different from someone who had a slimmer face or a heart-shaped face, you know? So those are the little things too that we have to always keep in mind. And yes, when you first put makeup on, it looks crazy, right? It always looks crazy. It always looks scary, but it always comes together in the end, always, okay? You just got to trust the process. Okay, so you're going to blend it in. Now, honestly speaking, a brush is good, in my opinion. I would say a brush is good for foundation, applying foundation. But I could see where the sponge also makes sense as well. Now, I would say for me that, say if you went a little too heavy-handed on the foundation, or if the foundation is a thick consistency, you can use a damp beauty blender, a damp sponge, and that would help to pick up product, right? Because again, we have to remember what a sponge does. A sponge picks things up. A sponge holds to things, right? It soaks up things. So that's when it's good to utilize a sponge, in my opinion. So now that we look like a ghost, because that's exactly what we look like right now. Don't worry, like I said, it's all gonna come together. I'm gonna do my eyebrows because I don't like to do them before foundation. Like I said, it really all depends on how I feel. Now, for me, I don't believe that you need to use a eyebrow pencil that costs $100. It's never that serious for eyebrows. If you know how to draw like a nice little straight line, okay, you're gonna be all set. You're gonna be good to go. The one that I utilize is from Wet n Wild. I use this one, and I use it in the shade Soft Brown. A quick little story time. When I was younger and I first started doing my eyebrows and I first started filling in my eyebrows, I used to use the color black. Honey, when I tell you, I was looking so crazy. I had to learn the hard way. But thank God I learned fast. I learned quickly. You know, yes, your eyebrow hairs may be black or technically a really dark brown. You still always want a color that complements your eyebrows, right? Complements your hair color, your skin tone color. When I was a blonde, when I used to do platinum blonde, I used to use a taupe color for my eyebrows. I couldn't have dark brown eyebrows with blonde hair. You know, it would kind of look ridiculous. Let's be real here. So, you know. Now with this, right, everything is trial and error. So for me, at first, I used to fill my brows really, really heavy. But then when I realized, you know, I do have some type of hair on my brows, I don't have to do a whole lot, right? Like I used to do the carving above my eyebrows, at the bottom of my eyebrows. And again, I looked a little crazy. But then I learned, you know, let me brush my brows. I have hairs. So let me just add in the sparse areas, you know, the front of my brows, like if you can see like the front to the mid of my brows, I have hairs. Now the issue is mainly the ends of my brows, right? So that's where I would have to add a little extra and go with my pencil. But I also utilize a powder, and you guys are going to see how I utilize the powder as well. But you see on this brow, I didn't have to touch the front part of it. I just ended with the ending. So I just filled the end a little bit. So now we have a little bit of structure. We have a little something coming in there with these brows. So I just brush my brows a little bit. I brush them up a little bit to the curve, right? So where the hair fell, but also know where my arch is. I will do a whole video on eyebrows, I promise you. Eyebrows are pretty much what gives the face a face, what gives the face the expressions, its structure. I'm going to do a whole video for you guys on that, the different techniques, the different products that you need to know what's what for your brows. So again, like I said, as you can see, I didn't do anything with the front. I left that there, and we're going to come back to that. So now we're going to go to this next brow. Now, I think there's like a saying that brows are not twins. They're sisters or cousins or some other family members, but not twins. I know that for a fact. And I'd say it's true. Now, you can try to get as symmetrical as you can, but again, that comes with time. So if you guys look and pay attention, I'm taking it from like where the fullest part is, and I'm just dragging it up where my arch is. Now I'm pulling up there because I know where my arches naturally are. And again, I also know what works for my face shape. So now you see how the ends is pretty much nothing is there. I like lift my brow a little bit, and then we're just gonna arch it down a tiny bit like so. Right, so then now we're gonna do the bottom part. So it's kind of gonna be the same thing. Brush my brows up, take it from underneath where that line was. That's where we started before. Then I'm gonna just arch it. And then so now we have a piece of a brow. So I'm gonna fill that in a little bit. So it looks like something, and we're not there. You know, it looks like something, right? So now again, from where my arches are, because like right at the top, that part there, we're now gonna do little strokes until it's gonna come together and now connects with that bottom part. Now it's an arched brow. Again, they're not twins, but they're clearly both done, right? So now, like I said, we're gonna go in with the powder. I use Wet n Wild. Okay, honey, I've had this for eons. Okay, this is the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Kit. Now it comes with a little tweezers, like a baby, like literally a baby tweezer. This is the wax, and then it also has a lighter, warmer brown, and the bottom is a deeper brown. Now, the way I do it, I take it on an angled brush. I had this brush for 1,000 years as well. It probably was in it's an E.L.F small angle brush. I promise you, I never actually read it. I just didn't know. Now, this brush is good for brows because of the shape of it, number one, but also because it has a kind of, I don't know if you could tell, but it has a density to it. Now, I will do a video on brushes so you guys can understand the different brushes and what they are utilized for. So for me, I'm gonna take just in the first one, right, this lighter, I'm gonna take like just one little dab, and I usually dab a little excess on the back of my hand. See, that's a lot, right? So we're gonna dab like 2 good times so you can see now it's again a little bit lighter, right? So from right here, right, the beginning, how to explain that, right? Gonna sweep it up so it now connects, right? Gonna sweep it up in slow strokes, right? And so I start from that midpoint, because if you see, it still was a little bit dark. So that's why I started there. So now when I get to the front part of it, now it's gonna be lighter how I need it to be, right? Because with the eyebrows, you want it to be a natural gradient. You don't want it to look crazy, right? You're gonna walk around looking ridiculous. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So as I did that swipe underneath, now I'm gonna swipe it up into the hairs as though it's hair strokes. Now I did mess up that tiny piece a little bit because I was showing it to you guys, but we're gonna clean that up as we continue, right? So gonna sweep it up. Now, because most of the product is in this area, we're gonna go up. Now we could go to the front part because now it's lighter, which now give a gradient. So it looks a lot more natural now that we're doing it. So we're gonna go up. I'm looking off into my mirror. And which sidebar? I said, you know what? I have to start doing my videos. Let me get a mirror. You know, I'm thinking, okay, maybe a little $5 to $8 for a mirror. Honey, guess how much I paid for this mirror? $14. I'm like, Jesus. All right, but you know what? I'm going to make some amazing videos in the grace of my God. So I'm like, you know what? It's going to be worth it in the end. So now you guys can see, now we have a completed brow. But we still have a little bit more finessing to do. So we're still going to brush it up. Right? So now it looks like a brow, as it should. So now we have a full brow. Right? So like I said, I'm still going to complete it. Again, we're going to add just a tiny bit more. So right from this mid part right here, we're going to do the brush stroke. So now I have it where like the pointed top is more towards the top. Going to go up a little bit. Yep. More, we're going to do that. And then now we have an eyebrow. Now you see that the front is lighter and it goes into the gradient of the brow, and that's what we want. We want our brows to look natural from the front and have a natural gradation all the way towards the end. So I'm going to do the other eyebrow off camera, finesse the front of it, and I'll be right back, okay? Now we have our brows on, but there's a little bit more I still need to show you guys, right? So like I said, I did the lighter color in the front. We did that. Now the ends is good, but I'm just going to do a little more razzle dazzle. I'm going to take a tiny bit of the darker color, a dab, just tap it off a little bit. And then now we're just filling in the ends, just so that is no like sparse hairs or anything. So I'm still just going with my eyebrow shape. And then towards the end, so it's a little bit darker, and just sweep it through. And this is how you get a nice eyebrow. Now, if you guys, you know, as you continue to watch the video and my channel overall, you're going to see that I use a lot of cost-effective, I guess you could say, products, because I don't believe that you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on products to achieve a look that you want. You know, everybody don't have the budget for that all the time. And one, that's not brand's fault, no prerogative. But, you know, there's some things that you should splurge on, like when it comes to skincare. That's where you really want to spend your big buck, because your face overall is the true foundation before anything else. And that needs to be taken care of. So skin prep really, truly matters. You know, but eyebrow items, blush, bronzers, it doesn't need to break the bank, and you shouldn't, you know. But I do like to add my E.L.F. Wow Brow Tinted Gel. Now this just adds a little more razzle dazzle, if you will. And also it helps to set it in place. Well, my brows usually stay in place all day anyways, so I really don't have to worry about that too much. But like I said, I just want a little extra razzle, and also places the hair, you know, let it set a little better. Now, because this is a soft glam, I guess you can call it, we don't have to actually sculpt out underneath the brows. but just for a cleaner look, we're gonna do it anyways. So I took a little bit of my foundation. I took an angled brush. Now again, you see this is angled, and it has the end has a spoolie. So again, it's the eyebrow brush. So I just put a little bit of foundation in the back of my hand. Just dip a little bit. Now, pray that it's straight if you do it. So you're gonna look in your mirror. Again, you're just gonna naturally go with the curvature of your eyebrows, right? So if you're a little nervous, just real slight strokes. You know, we see we getting somewhere, right? Look in the other mirror. Okay, just slow. Now there are other brush options to use to carve the eyebrow. I had like a slightly fluffier one, but I didn't want to use that, and I don't want you guys to think, oh my gosh, how can I use a brush like that? That's a little bit more skill. So I say, no, let me bust out the angled brush. So it makes it easier to get into the curvature and the arch of the brow, right? So this is what we're looking at right now. Now my eyebrows are not done. I do have a few little strays, but I'm not gonna remove them because I need my brows to get a little bit of thickness back, so I'm not gonna remove them. So we're just gonna work around them with what we got. So then now the excess is gonna bring it down and then buff it in a little bit with our finger. Now I'm buffing it with my finger because I'm gonna use the eyeshadow primer. Now if I was using the foundation as my eye primer, I would just bring it all the way down. But I want to buff this in. Again, with my finger is what melts it even more into the skin, right? So now it looks cleaner. You know, it was good before, but now it's just emphasized. So this is it without it being cleaned up, which just still looks good. You can wear that as every day. And this is it being cleaned up. So I'm going to do the other one, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to go in with the Milani Stay Put eyeshadow primer. Now, I don't know if I said it earlier, but I'm not really a primer kind of girl, you know. I used to, if I'm not mistaken, my technique, I think I used to use a concealer as my base for my eyeshadow. Like I said, I haven't actually worn eyeshadow in a very long time. So this, for me personally, wearing makeup again for myself, is just a tiny bit new. When it comes to makeup for other people, you know, it's not that new. Now, if you see me utilizing a napkin or anything, a sad fun fact, not too sad though, but a sad fun fact, I have extremely watery eyes. So that was also one reason as to why I stopped wearing makeup, especially eye makeup. When I used to work in Sephora, and that's another story time. When I used to work in Sephora, clearly you have to wear makeup, or it's highly suggested that you wear makeup, right? Because when you walk into a Sephora store, 9 times out of 10, sometimes, you know, you are going to go to the makeup artist that clearly her makeup looks good. It was sad to me so many times I would take the time to do my eyeshadow and do my makeup, and as soon as I walk outside, because it's too windy, the front part of my makeup is gone because my eyes is watery, you know. So that within itself was discouraging. So I said, you know what, let me just stop wearing it altogether, unfortunately. So we're getting back into it, right? So now we're going to apply that. Again, using my finger, it warms up the product. Now, I looked this product up and they said it was good because it has a nice tackiness to it. And it also is great because it's like a neutralizing color. Now, if you guys notice, I do have a little bit like darkness around my eyes, a little bit underneath, and a little bit in my mouth area. So we're going to see how it holds with these eyeshadows with the pigment. We're going to see if it really holds good. Now, I did wear it the other day, and I would say it did hold up. I would say it did also show the color, like the true color. That's the good thing for a base as well. You want it to be able to pick up and hold the eyeshadow so it shows the true color and the true vibrancy of the shadow. So that also matters. Now, that could also be another video about eyeshadow primers the uses for them and what they actually do and utilize. So after that, our eyes are primed, and I'm so excited because in the mail came my ColorPop palette that I was extremely excited for. A fun fact, when it do come to eyeshadows, I absolutely love matte shades. It's just something so refreshing, so gorgeous to me. I love matte shades. I'm not really a shimmer kind of girl, but there are a few looks that I do have in store for you guys so you can see how to actually utilize shimmer, how it looks good, but also how it looks good on me, on my skin tone, face shape, eye shape. But I was so excited when it came in. I do have a few palettes from this brand, and it is ColorPop, and it is going matte. Let me show you the gorge. If gorge and beauty was all culminated into one, this is what it would look like. Is this not beautiful? Oh my gosh. Love. I'm so excited. I was so excited to get this palette because, again, getting back into makeup for myself is extremely exciting for me. So is now all the butterflies, you know. And like I said, I love matte shades, but also my skin tone, it's easy for colors to go ashy or cool tone, which I will explain that to you guys in another video. But the good thing about neutrals as well as matte shades like this palette, it picks up a lot better on my skin tone. It complements my skin tone a lot better. That's why I was extremely excited about it. And that's what we're going to do, a simple eye look with it today. So now that we are all primed, we are going to go into the shadows. So in my under eye, right, as a highlighter, we're going to go in with the color Teddy. So this is like a soft color and a highlight color, pretty much is what it does. Pretty much it highlights, right? It accentuates. So I'm going to arch my brow a tiny bit, and we're just going to put it underneath in that little arch right there. A little more on the brush. So just want like a slight little highlight, like, oh, okay. But also highlighting also lets the brow look a lot more lifted, you know, and not just a basic brow, okay? Nothing is basic over here, okay? So we're just going to do that. Now I'm going to add a little bit more because, again, you know, it has to pick up on camera for you guys to really see the true, you know, essence and color of everything. So we're going to put that up there, bring it down like a tiny bit, but mainly underneath, so it really is highlight, you know, highlighted. A little bit there, you know, same, this side, do the same thing. And like I said, again, ColorPop, this is not, you know, a pricey palette. You know, it still gets the job done. And it's actually a dupe to quite a few of the higher end, quote unquote, palettes that there are out there. But, you know, what really makes you good or make a person, you know, good at makeup is not always the products itself, but it's how you're able to utilize, you know, what you have. You know, now don't get me wrong, there are some products that are completely terrible. That is true. But there still is quality with the inexpensive and the expensive, right? So this is what we look like right now. We have a little higher, so we can do a little bit more up this side, tiny bit more. Now, it might look crazy, like, girl, what in the world? But again, when we do our other colors, everything is not going to blend seamlessly and does what it needs to do. You guys are probably thinking, I don't think I saw the step where you set your face, girl. Don't worry. Now, I didn't set it because, like I said, we're doing the eyes. And so, again, it's all going to come together. So this is where we are, right? Now, in our crease, almost like the outer part, we're going to go in with the color The Cuddles. I'm going to go in with that one right there. So we are going to take, this is pretty much an all over fluffy brush. gonna take this brush. Excuse me, my eyeball again. It's so watery. So we're gonna go in on a fluffy brush, right? We're gonna go in with the color cuddles. Tap off the excess. And we're gonna go right in the crease, right? So we're gonna go sweep motions a little bit to the front, just a tiny bit. This is what works for my eye shape, right? I have an eye shape that they will call a hooded eye. So that means like if you look, it's a little bit like skin there. It comes over, you don't see the lid completely. So that means I have to place my shadow a little bit up more so that it pops and looks a lot better. So we actually know with cuddles in, what is this? Ultra Suede, right? I'm gonna mix those two. Again, gonna just sweep a little windshield motion. And just drag it a tiny bit. And a little bit up there in the front, just a tiny bit. And I kind of usually do mine on an angle because, again, like I said, my eye shape. So I'm able to get away with it doing it in like an angle like that. So bring up a tiny bit to that highlight color so it blends better, right? We're going to do that. We're going to just sweep it and bring it like that. Transition pretty much. Same thing on this eye. I used to do, let's see what's towards. I used to do concealer on my eyelids because, again, like I said, it's like a little bit darkness. So I don't think the Milani necessarily for me cleans up or like hides that discoloration a bit. So I think I'm gonna have to go back to using like a concealer or just switch up my primer again for me, you know, because it probably could work for you guys, you know. I have a little bit of discoloration, so that's why it pops up a certain way for me. I bring it a little bit like I do my sweeping motion, like I said. And a good thing with a fluffy brush like this, you could fluff and it just pretty much it buffs it out, right? So it look like it's going every which way, but it actually comes together all in the end, right? So again, I just bring it up and arch it just a little bit here, not too much on the inside of here, because now that will close my eye and we don't want that look. Again, just blend. I'm adding more because I'm on camera, so we have to add a little more so you guys could really truly see, you know. Again, a little bit, then just around. Sweep, 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 sweep. So yeah, I said, you know what, let me just do something soft, something simple that's like, you know, easy to do in my opinion. Like I like tones that's more so like to my skin tone because, again, like I'm still a warm, you know, so I like to go with shades that complements my skin tone nicely but also makes the eyes pop. Brown is a neutral shade, so colors look good against brown for the most part, but once you have certain shades do make other shades pop and stand out even more. Some complements it and some makes it pop, you know. So this is where we are with these colors here, right? Just gonna blend it up a little bit more. Blend it up. So that's where we at with that, right? So now on the crease, we are gonna take on this is a flat fluffy brush, and I am going to take the color Butter Up on the brush, and then we're just gonna close the eyeball and just gonna pack it. Hold on, use the mirror. So you see how it's like a brighter color. Just gonna pack it. Now I call it a soft everyday because, again, like the lightness of the color, the lightness of the color makes it, oh, okay, oh, it's soft. You know, it's not as harsh as a dark smoky eye if we went in with a brown, you know. So the lightness of it keeps it a soft, smoky. I'm just following the natural curvature of my eyeballs. You know, and again, I have hooded eyes, so I have to open to make sure it makes sense, right? So it's lining up, it's falling where it needs to, where you still could see the lid color, and it still blends seamlessly, right? These shadows complement each other, you know. Now, sometimes you could go out of the box and do other shadows, but then that's when now we're doing complementary colors. This is what we're looking like, right? We're starting to look like a person. We're starting to come to, you know. I would like to believe we're starting to come to, you know. Now this would be really nice too as like a cut crease look. You know, I might do that for you guys. A matte cut crease. You know, cut creases I think are really beautiful on any eye shape. You know, especially if it's done nicely and right. You know. So this is what we're looking like. This is what we're looking like right now. You know. So we're gonna pack that on. Again, you see what the placement. So this is probably like 2/3 of the eye. Or you could just bring it all the way to the end, whichever you choose. And just buff it a tiny bit. Look it over to get it on the inside. I'm going to do the same with the next eye, and I'm going to be right back. So now that we have that color on now, right? So we are going to go in with Blanky. And I might do a little bit of Felici. We'll see how I feel. But a little bit of Blanky. And this is a fluffy brush, another fluffy brush. We're going to put it in like right there. So this is where my socket is pretty much. So we want to like mainly focus it on the outer V part, right? So we're going to place it there and buff it a little bit. Now this brush has a little stiffness to it because it is synthetic. So that means it's going to take a little bit of time to, gosh, I got these lips. It's going to take a little bit of time to really fluff up how it should. So we're going to pack it in just the corner, just a tiny bit to add some color. And we're now going to blend it up a little bit more. And then also blend it out. So honestly, I might switch this brush out for the one I was just using. Where did I place that brush? I'm going to take it on the same one. Little Blanky. Right in the corner. And bring it a tiny bit, a little bit in. Just a tiny bit. Just like 1/3. Sweep it out. So we still just blend it out there and just up again at that little angle. Right? Because we just want to keep it focused in that little area there. Not too much. Not too crazy. You know? Little that. Mix with a tiny bit of suede to buff that color out. So it's now. It's complementary color. So it complements each other beautifully. Just that little corner. Sweep a tiny bit and just back and forth. Because now we add in some depth to it. Right? Some depth, some life into it. And then, again, just doing it because we're going to deepen it. We're going to continue to deepen it. And then, yep, just buff it. Because we just now, at this point, we add in depth to it. Same thing on his eye. Right in, a tiny bit, buff it in 1/3. Right? Buff it out then. Just buff it up. Bring it up a tiny bit. So now this is blending the two shades together. Right? So I'm going to do this one off of camera. I'm going to finish blending this, and then I'm going to come right back to you guys, okay? So now we're going to take a tiny bit of a deeper brown called Snoozin' and put that directly in the outer corner. That's going to add a little bit more depth right there in the outer corner. Just literally right there. And sweep it back. That's what we're doing. Right in that corner, sweeping it back. Right in that corner. And we're going to sweep it back, right? Tiny bit up, just a tiny bit up. Because now you see its depth. Now we're building depth to the eye even more. In that little corner area. And sweep it back. Yep. Just something real calm, you know. Now in this eye, same thing. We're going to do like right in the corner. Right in the little corner. And then tiny bit. Just that end. You're going to focus it right there. And sweep it back. Dark brown. And then just sweep it back. Tiny bit up. Tiny bit. And sweeping it back. Just because you want a lot of that deepness to be at the end. And sweep it up. Yep. This is what we're looking like, you know. We're coming together. We are coming together like I promised, okay? I will not lead you guys astray, okay? Again, just really focus it deep in there. And just back just a tiny bit. Right? So we look like something now. Right? So now you're probably thinking, this looks a little crazy, girl. Where we headed with this? What's happening? What's going on here? Don't worry, I told you, I gotcha, okay? I gotcha, because I said so. All right, so we are done with the eyes right now. This is what we're looking like. So we have the face done for the most part. We did our eyes. So now we are going to do some, I think I'm going to do some gel liner. This I got off of Tried and True Amazon. And I like that it is creamy. It came in a set of black and a brown. Even though this eye look is mainly brown, I still want a dash of intensity. So that's why I'm going to go with black. And black is just always sexy to me as a little bit of depth as opposed to the brown. But we can play with that the next time. I probably might recreate this look again. So with the cream eyeliner, you want to have a angled brush. Now, we used the angled brush before for the brows for powder, which again was a lot more dense. But now with this one, it's a lot thinner. If you can see that, it's a lot thinner because it's more for precision now. So I'm going to dab like a tiny bit. When I tell you this is so creamy of a eyeliner, just a tiny bit. Now we're going to see how I do this on camera. Because I told you guys, I have watery eyes. So that affects a lot of the way and the technique in which I have to do my eyeshadow. If I do decide to do eyeshadow. So I'm going to attempt to do a little bit on camera for you guys. Now, because my eye shape is hooded, that means I have to, how do you say? I have to do my eyeliner differently, you know, so you can still see the wing if I decide to do a wing. Because if I just do a straight wing, the traditional way of other eye shapes, it's going to blend in with this area on this side is not coming to me. So I have to switch it up how I do it. So I do look, I have to go in close my eye just a tiny bit to see where it would make sense for me to draw my line. So right here at the end, right there. So now if I open my eyes or if I close my eyes, you'll be able to see it. Once I actually draw the line, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So from there, I'm just going to close my eye and then just connect it. And so now I do it kind of at an angle. If you guys can see that. And so just do it like that. And then slow, because like some of my eyelashes are acting a little crazy. And again, this liner is so creamy It's amazing, honestly speaking. It is amazing. So that's where we at right now thus far. So my eyes is hooded, but if I keep it open, you still can see the wing a bit. Now, some people with hooded eyes do this little trick where they look straight and they do it, and then it'll be like a little gap in between. I don't got time for none of that. So this is how I'm going to do it on my eye. And again, everything is about your tools. You know, because this brush is so thin, like, see how thin that is? Because it's so thin, that also allows for precision for the wing, for the tip to be how it is. And then because the eyeliner is creamy, it also glides seamlessly across. Now, because my eyes are watery, I have to play a little differently when it comes to the front. So I try not to bring it to the front too much. I stop a little bit midway. Now, at that point, I would like leave my eyes open, but still squint a tiny bit and bring it as close to my lash line as possible in small little strokes to still connect it. So you see it's starting to like build. So we're gonna continue. More strokes. I open a little bit, and if I need to blink, I take the time to blink because again, this is black and it's unforgiving. Again, small strokes. And again, I'm doing it to match the shape of my eyeballs. Because again, liner is going to show the true shape of your eyes. So again, as we could see, right? We still a thin liner because again, if I do it too thick, it could close up here in this area. We don't want that. So we're going to do it thin so it has a seamless flow and it continues to connect. So again, I added just a little bit more. Close my eye and a tiny bit closer. A tiny bit, small strokes, connecting. And that's it. Now, this is where we at. Now, I'm a little bit of a jelly bean because people who have people who have eyes that's not watery don't have to deal with being so particular in how they do their eyeliner or their eyeshadow. It kind of sucks, but you know, everything comes with challenges and how we adapt and work around them. So this is just a little hurdle that I have, but is ways to still get around it. You know, so again, like for example, I don't bring it all the way to the front like any other person would, but I'd stop it still close enough, but I stop it, a little bit. So I still have like wiggle room. And again, you see how close to the lash line that is? And that's what you want. So you're still able to see all the work that you did. You're still able to see the lid color completely. Now, if you want a thicker lash line, a thicker band, you could. But again, for me, if I did it too thick, then it will start to like close the eye a little bit. But now it all depends on when you do your lashes, how they fall, to see if you would add a little bit more or a little bit less thickness to now blend the band. So we have our liner on, and this is what we are looking like for liner. Now we're going to get back to the face because you're probably like, girl, you look crazy. So we are not going to do concealer. Concealer kind of could clean up any messes, but also sharpens. So I didn't do the concealer first because, again, the ends is kind of like buffed out, I guess you could say. But now we'll use the concealer. It's going to clean it up. How it needs to be cleaned. So I'm going to be using my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in 020 Stand. And I'm going to be also utilizing my LA Girl Pro Concealer. For those who know, you know. Okay. This is the best, hands down, most inexpensive thick concealer, in my opinion, that just works wonders. And this is in the shade Creamy Beige. Now, I'm using two. Pardon me, my eyeballs. I'm using two because This one has like a pinkish hue a tiny bit to it, and this has a yellow hue. And if I wanted to, I could get away with just the Pro Concealer. But I also realized the consistency. Now, when I used to wear makeup, I used to wear my tried and true was NARS concealer. People would compare this to the NARS. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. NARS was so thick of a consistency. It was a dream. It made my under eyes look absolutely stunning. The next one I did used to use drugstore wise was, I forgot if it's L'Oreal or Maybelline, but the Erase. I used to use that as well. I like that one because the consistency was also thick. For me personally, I like my concealer to be thick. So I'm going to do little 1, 2, little 1, 2. I know, little tribal marks. I know. And then I'm going to do a little 1, 2. 1, 2. Now, if I need more, I'm going to add more, absolutely. For me, I'm not going to do the whole tribal mask on my face. I don't have time for that. For me, it's unnecessary. So this now goes back to when I said you have to really know what makes sense for your face shape and your features. That's not necessary, in my humble opinion, to do for every single person, right? Let's focus on what we want to focus on and highlight what we want to highlight, and contour what we want to contour. I'm going to let this sit. Now, I'm going to do something a little different today on camera. This is new. We're trying this together for once at once right now. I'm going to let this settle a little bit. So they say when you let it settle a bit, it is going to be a little bit more thicker and it should have a little bit more coverage. So I'm going to test that theory right now on camera. As that's doing that, I am going to do my cream contour. For every day, you don't have to do a cream contour. If you don't want to, you could just use regular contour and bronzer. But I'm going to do a cream contour. This palette is from W7, which is off of Amazon. I don't know if they have their own website or not, but I see that they say W7 is a dupe for a lot of other brands. And I would say anything that I have thus far actually works really nice in my opinion. So this is a contour and a highlight. And I take a little brush that I have, just a tiny random one. And I go into the middle color. Now these do say, do a little dot, a little dot, a little dot, a little dot. But for me, I bring it up higher. So I bring it up here, because it's going to blend down anyways, right? Again, same thing. So that's what I do. It's right there. Do that. And I add a little bit of the bronzer. Just a little 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it. Nothing too crazy. Now, for me, right? This is my placement for things on my face, for me, for my face shape. If you have a smaller surface area of a forehead, now mine isn't big, but because I do have a lot more space up there, I can contour, because what contour is going to do is going to slim down the face, right? That's the point of contour. Contour and highlight, you highlight, that means you accentuate certain parts. But contour is pretty much going to be shadow. Think of it as shade and light. You know, that's pretty much what it is. On a sunny day, if a tree, the part of it that's in the shade, clearly it's in the shade. That's what shadow would be. That's what the contour would be. Highlight would be where the sun is shining on, if we use real world. You know, so this is where we are with it. I think that's enough time for that. Again, with the fingers, right? Your hands naturally, it warms up. So for me, what I do, the ring finger, they say that's the weakest of the fingers. So it's also a lot lighter on the skin, especially the under eye. I'm just gonna tap it tiny bit. You can see, we'll tap it. Now, for some people, it's probably a lot. For some people, it's probably a little bit. For me, I'm gonna say it's just right, okay? So I like to conceal, but also mainly highlight. So that's why I'm going again with the 2 colors that I use. So this is where we are right now. Same thing on the side. Now, I usually use a sponge, right? But I can't seem to find the actual beauty blender from the actual brand beauty blender anymore. So I had got another one. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. And then I had one that came with my Real Technique brushes. And I feel that, again, a sponge, especially when it's wet, is going to pick up product. So I kind of see, I like how this looks lifted under the eyes, still highlighted, but it's also lifted. And that's what I like. So I'm going to try it with a brush that I have. I'm going to try it with this brush. And I'm hoping that it's going to keep the consistency that I need to keep, because I like this look of it being bright. Now, if I need to add more, then I'll just add more product. But let's see how this blends out. And let's hope it's to my liking. Because then now, I just tried something new on camera with you guys. Also, now it's something I could, like, you know, add to my routine. So let's blend out the edges there. I'm going to bring it up. Because like I said, it kind of cleans up. We don't need to clean up anything by the eye area, but it kind of cleans it up a bit. Like lifts it a tiny bit, right? And I'm going to go. Now this is where we make these crazy faces now, right? Get close to the under eye. As close as possible. And again, lightly underneath. Now, when you put your foundation on, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I put the foundation on and then I had some space between my eyeballs and some space between where the foundation wasn't underneath my eyes. And that was on purpose, right? Because sometimes creasing happens underneath the eye because of too much product, right? And then sometimes creasing happens naturally. Under my eyes, I naturally have creases under there. So it's not nothing I can do about that. But what I can do, say a trick for me, is again, will be a little bit less product. Now, again, some could say that was a lot of concealer, but I want it to be highlight, so it don't matter to me. Okay, so this is how this came out. And I would like to believe it looks really good. And like I said, it's my first time trying this. One step I did forget, though, to add a setting spray. It's good to add a setting spray to pretty much anything that you do, because this also helps for the longevity of your products and the wear of the products throughout the day. So probably doesn't matter now because the deed is already done. But this is where we are. And I think that I like it, honestly. Because I usually just use this brush to like do a little bit of powder. But you see this crease a tiny bit. But again, we're going to do the same thing with this. I'm looking at multiple mirrors. That's why my eyes are just like everywhere. Again, up. But I'm also doing it lightly because I can see that it also is really blending in, which we want, but kind of we also want the staying power. Right, I'm gonna look up, little crazy eyes a little bit. Bring that again to the side of the nose. And we all concealed out. Right now we look alive. We starting to get life back into the face. We started to get a little dimension again, right? Because it was a little scary earlier. Right? So now with this, we are gonna set this. Now some people wait a little bit, but I'm gonna choose to set it, right? Because again, we have fine lines, you know. Well, at least for me, I have fine lines. So naturally in lines, anything that has any type of cream or anything, it's going to settle in. That's what it's going to do, right? That's any crease, right? And it's a cream. So it's going to pretty much, again, settle into that line. Again, my watery eyes, just me monitoring it. The worst. Again, just under the eye, just that crease. That crease, you see it's creasing, you know. Now, again, I could go a little bit less on the product. I could do that, you know. So we could try that next time. But like I said, I like a highlighted under eye look. You see, and again, we brought it up to where we had it smoked out, and it didn't affect it, but it just pretty much made it look a lot more cleaner and more blended. So now I could more so see where the colors blended and transition of the colors blends nicely. So I am going to utilize this Fit Me. Now, I've heard amazing reviews about a setting powder, which is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. So this is supposed to blur, give that blur effect, which I love. So they have the pressed powder version, which I got the Fit Me, so but this is going to be my all over color. And then they also have the loose powder. So like I said, I'm going to use the loose powder for under the eyeball. But I also have a banana powder from this brand Revolution. I thought it was Ben Nye that they bought out Ben Nye, but then I did some research and Ben Nye banana powder is still a thing. Highly upset, but this works good as well. Like I said, I'm still trying to play around with other brands to see again what I like, what works well with my skin, what works well with what I needed to do. So I just have this little top that I put my powder in, or you could just use the cover, especially if it's yours. If you're utilizing it on somebody else, please be sanitary. So I'm just gonna put some. Now, people apply it with a like that triangle, like fluffy sponge. But now that I think about it, I do have wedges, right? So I'm thinking if I should utilize one of these wedges, or if I should just use my usual beauty blender to set it. Let's see. See, this is again something new I'm trying with you guys, because I usually just use my my brush. So I'm just gonna take a triangle wedge. I'm gonna put some, right? Then we're gonna put on the back of our hand so it's evenly distributed. Let's hope it's evenly distributed, okay? But I need to get me a puff actually, because just to see how that works. And the puff also goes like within the triangle part, which is really good. So now I know I got some creasing. So I got it. It's already set on the sponge. I'm gonna go up the crease. Now, if you don't have a brush like this, you don't have to. It's not necessary. But because I have it, I'm just gonna do that. If not, then just use a little Q-tip. It does the same thing. So we're gonna see. Press it in, and free. That's it. So now it's just set. Now you can bake with this. I don't know if I'm gonna bake them. We'll see how I feel if I choose to or not. We'll see. Under again. And then bam bam. And then this is what we are looking like, right? Do we look highlighted? Do we look alive? You know? And I like that this have like a little curvature right here because it fits comfortably under the eye, you know? And again, I got these from my local 99-cent store. So these was like $129. So that's where we at right now with that. This is where we at with this right here. It's settled a little bit. I'm going to take my little brush. Now, this is a Real Technique brush. When we go to brushes, there are different brands that I do like. But with my Real Techniques, I have bought this in a little set along with a beauty sponge. I'm like, it's dirty. But I also like how this is. And a few others. But this is very dense, which is a beautiful thing. So I utilize this for my cream contour. And it did settle a little bit. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the spray. Spray it, add a little moisture. Any type of setting spray, any type of anything that brings any type of moisture, especially say a setting spray, is good because it's setting. Every step that you're doing is setting. And in the long run, is good for longevity and long wear of your makeup throughout the day, right? So we can do the forehead. We're just gonna dab it in there. You guys like my little thing? I'm not really like a headband kind of girl. But I said, you know what, doing videos, let me just do something different. I mean, let's make it cute. Now, if it gets dirty over time, don't judge me, okay? Things happen. I'm not about to watch this every single video for you guys. It's not happening like that, okay? But if you want, you know, you guys could just always gift me some, you know? So again, we just dab in the circular motions. And then bringing it to around the hairline. On the forehead even more. So now what this is doing is, right, if we go back to cut a clip from before to now it's more so, like I said, is now made the forehead a little slimmer, right? If we did like a before and after side by side, now it looks a little slimmer, right? Because now we just have the middle highlight, like, oh, okay, cool. You can see bronzed up, you know. And now I put two because one is more like of a reddish tone and one had a little bit more of a brownish tone. So again, for my skin tone, I had to go with what works for me. But usually to contour, you want something that's a cooler tone, you know. That's that. So now we're going to do the cheeks, right? And I try to keep it blended up because still I can see where my cheekbones are and what I want to accentuate it, right? Now I just do like a little razzle dazzle on the cheek, just some type of base to be, but I don't have to, but we're going to go over it with powder anyways. Now again, for my face shape, this is placement for my face shape, okay? Some people might want to bring it higher, some people might want to bring it lower. Now this right here is my actual cheekbone, so it's really still in that area anyways. Right, so that's just buffed out, calm, simple, to the point, right? Same thing on this side. Gonna do the same exact thing. Buff it out, right? And again, even doing my contour, I could see which side, you know, falls differently because both sides actually does. At least me, I, you know, pay attention to those things. Now, I could do more if I wanted to. But like I said, we're going to go over with powder anyway. So, just a little something. Could take it down the nose, but this is too big of a brush. So, I just played myself. Or you could also just take a tiny bit on another little brush. Or you could just do powder. So, I'm probably just going to do the powder. I'm not going to do the contour of the cream. I usually don't do that anyways. So this is what we are looking like right now. This is where we are right now. So we're probably like, oh, it's not too much. Because again, I don't need it to be a lot because we are going to go over it with a powder. So this is why it's just, okay, this is where we are. You can see on the forehead, it's blended out. You can see around the face, it's blended out. So this is where we are. And again, remember, this is still just like a simple everyday glam. It don't have to be crazy right now, you know, as though it was a smoky eye. So with that, now I think I'm going to add a little bit of the powder under the eye for just a little bit of a baking that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna But I'm not going to put it for too long because, again, I don't want it to now say possibly get dry. So we're just going to put a little bit there. And actually, I'm going to put a little bit on... I'm going to do it... Let's see. Because on there... Look, so... Right there. So this is now going to carve out my cheek pretty much, right? So we're going to do that right there like that, right? Again, for me, some people do the whole sweep around. No. Right? So we could just do it from the side. That's just straighter. Right? So this is what we're looking like right now in the world, okay? And do it to this side. Again, see where the placement makes sense. This is where we are, right? That's a little wonky, but it's fine. Okay. Like that. So as that is doing that, I'm going to take now the Fit Me. Now we're going to see how this actually looks. Honey chow. Honey chow, honey chow. Just going to take my brush. And let's see. Just set everything else. I'm hoping this looks good on camera, right? It's supposed to make it look photo finish, photo ready, honey. So I'm gonna leave this here to bake just a tiny bit because we are gonna contour. Now they say this works good with the little puff, but again, I never tried it with the puff, so I couldn't tell you. Maybe one day we will. So like I said, we're gonna bronze now, right? So I'm gonna get just a fluffy brush, a face powder brush, and we are gonna go in to, this is a contour palette from Black Radiance. This is the light to medium palette. So it has the two contours and also the highlight. I just like to mix both, little 1, 2, tap the X's, and then now we're gonna go on the forehead. Just like a nice brushing motion, right? So now you can see like bringing back more to the hairline, bringing a little color now, just bringing it, making it pop even more on top of the cream that we did. Like I said, because I am on camera, we're gonna do a little bit more so you guys can really see it. You know, cameras and lighting really blows things out, so it's not as like pigmented anymore. So it's like a white cast pretty much. So that's why you have to use a lot of makeup, you know, especially to be on camera. So now contour, we're just gonna start then, just little dabs, blend it up, tiny bit like that. Again, we want it up, right? Because anything naturally is gonna blend down, and we don't want, no need that. So we're gonna, but I take my select right here, blend it up. 1, 2. Ding. Bring it around here a little bit because I'm able to do that because of my face shape, right? If this area was even more tiny for me, I would look ridiculous. And yes, that is the word I will use, right? As long as you know, I'm being honest with you, right? I don't have time to lie or sugarcoat things for you guys, especially when it comes to, you know, makeup and beauty, and want you guys to not just watch me, but also learn something, you know? So we're gonna do that. So this is what we're looking at right now, right? So we have some life back into our face. We get dimension back into our face, right? So this is where we are with it. And again, we could do it like that. Blend it out a bit more. A little more on the forehead. No, it's so sad. Like this is new. But look at all of this. Oh, you guys are gonna judge me, I feel like. Why is she always wearing Maybe I should have got a black one. Maybe. Now, you don't have to do this contour the cheek, but just to add a little razzle dazzle on camera for you guys. You know, little 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's so funny because at the end of the night, when I like wash my face off, it's like, oh, okay. So nothing but orange is in the sink. Terrible. Now for the nose. It's a fluffy brush, but a tiny piece of it is like tapered, if you can see that. So on that little piece, just a little dab. Boop, boop. Little 1, 2. Dab. And then just right here, just a little. But now sometimes it is like a eyeshadow that I use. A gray eyeshadow. It's like a cool tone eyeshadow that I use. Just because it gives it more of a natural look. My eyeballs, guys, my apologies. It just gives it a little bit more of a natural color of a contour as opposed to like this, like a reddish color. Then we're going to sweep it up to the brow. We're sweeping it up to the brow so it looks more natural. Right? So you see how this side of our nose look like something, right? There's a tiny bit there. And again, even nose contour, again, is different for every person. But this is just what I'm doing right now. See, put in there in the hollows. Again, so it's like just a natural, again, a shadow. And this is just where we are. Little 1, 2. Then same thing. This side. So you see now we're starting to look like something again in life. So again, just this side. And then sweep it up. You know, I'm gonna sweep it up into the beginning of our brow. So it still looks like it's natural. Then a tiny bit. And that's that. So we have a nose now again, right? We look alive again. Look alive again, guys. So you see, I told you we're gonna bring it all together. It's not as bad and crazy as you guys thought it was. It started a little rocky, right? It looked a little crazy. Right? Again, like I said, I'm looking in different mirrors, like 3 different mirrors I'm looking in, right? So this is where we at with it, with our little nose. So these now I'm going to sweep off. And again, when it comes to brushes, I might talk about Real Technique brushes in my brush video, because there's actually a set that I have that I want to show you guys that's amazing to me. But Real Techniques is the truth. I love Real Technique brushes. This also came in a set, and this is a little, I guess you could say a little powder brush, but I don't know if you could tell, but it's like kind of flat, like domed shape, but I love it. Now I use it for a highlight, but also to wipe under my eye, which I should probably get a completely different one for that. Wipe it off. And then what I'm gonna do, just don't even have a mirror. What I'm gonna do, with my little mirror, just dab it in. We're not sweeping it away, we're just dabbing it in. And you see, so now we look highlighted. Ooh, that was a new technique I did on camera just now, guys. And I think I love it. So I'm gonna have to watch this video back to see what I did. Right? So this is what we look like, right? Same thing on the side, just dab it in. Yep. Dab it in. Get it on the nose. We don't want your nose to look crazy. So we set. So this is what we look like now, right? So you see, looking at us, right? When you look at us straight on now, you see the contour gave us now dimension to the face, right? And then we also highlight because we did the highlight under the eyes. So now we started to bring back dimension to our face again because it was lost. Looking kind of crazy with just the foundation. Even our lips still look crazy, but we're getting there. Okay, we're gonna get there. Okay, now everything is kind of doing what it needs to do. So now even the eye makeup now is setting in and is looking better. Right, so I'm just gonna add probably a little bit more when it comes to, I'm probably, honestly speaking, I'm probably gonna change my brush to probably a different one for the contour, I would say. Let's see. But, oh, and this one, right? By the cheek. So the line is not harsh. I'm gonna go in again with the Fit Me. I'm gonna go again in with that, so it still have a natural blend to it. And then now we are gonna do a little bit of blush from some brand on Amazon, guys. I don't know. But it has, I'm upset. I dislike blushes with any type of shimmer. I can't stand it. So this type of shimmer, I never use that. This in the middle, I use that like a dab of this and this, and it mixes beautifully in my opinion. So I do it on a flat brush. Again, this is kind of how my foundation brush is, but this is more domed. So I just take one dab in each, see product, dab it in my hand, right? Because I don't want it to be too much of a pinky color. A little small, nothing crazy. But then I bring it up into my contour, right? So just apples just a little bit and just bring it up. So it all now blend. So you don't look like a Neapolitan ice cream. You see the pink and then the highlight. No, you just a tiny bit. Same thing, just a little bit. And you want to just blend it into the contour. Now, I'm not one of those girls that bring the blush and all that into the hairline and all this other crazy stuff. That's, no. Just that. Simple. Life is back in there. Okay? This is where we at with it in life. Okay? Do that. And then now, for highlight, I have me a Wet n Wild. Like I said, back in the days, I used to have a cream highlight. And I'm trying to remember if it was Black Opal or Becca. I'm really trying to remember. And I used to just put that on. Then also I used to put on the powder on top of it because it still looks good. Again, I'm going to swirl my highlight. Again, see where we have at the highest point. Little boop. Right, just see. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now for me, I really believe that blush and your highlight, it should make sense with the look that you're going for, right? And it should also make sense with the color scheme that you're going with. Because this is like a neutral, I could get away with this being a golden highlighter, right? If I was doing, say, like a silver eye, which is cool tone, which I have that in store for you guys, putting a gold, depending on how it is, could look a little crazy. Excuse me. So again, these are little tips and tricks and things we have to just be mindful of, you know. And again, unless you do it, you know, you won't know. And everything is pretty much trial and error. So we want a little right there for you, right? Okay, who do we think we are? Huh? Who? God's children. Okay. That, no, little razzle dazzle. Little razzle dazzle for you guys. Again, down the nose. I just do it like right in the middle. Nothing too crazy. I don't bring it up, or just right there in the middle. That's it. Tiny bit at the... There we go. Right there. That and that. Now, some people do the Cupid's bow, jazz, and the chin, little razzle dazzle. It just like right there. Right there. So again, still now we're like, makes the nose look nice and awake and pretty, you know. Right there. And so that's how we're looking right now, right? Okay. Alrighty, love bugs. So we're almost done. I promise. So we're gonna take on a smudgy brush a few of the browns that we played around with earlier. So we're gonna take Blanky and Ultra Suede, just a tiny bit, and we are gonna put it underneath the lash line, right? Just, you could look up and just sweep it underneath. Now, just because it's fluffy, like, don't be scared. Like, it's not gonna be nothing crazy. Just sweep it. And then those were two deeper shades that we kind of used. So I was gonna sweep a little bit. And so that's where we at with it, you know? You on the other eye? Oops. Trying to find the light, make sure it looks good. Ooh. So this is how we look right now, right? So we just want to, like, you know, bring back life to the eyes, because it's brown. It's a brown smoky, but it still makes it look like alive and, oh, okay, you look like something. Like someone cares about you in the world. So now we are gonna do this little thing called tight lining, right? So because I still want it to be dark around my lash line area, and we are gonna put on false lashes, I'm gonna do black liner and have it tight underneath. Once I do it, you're gonna actually see a difference. So I'm gonna take my black eyeliner this is from Wet n Wild. We are gonna, I probably can't do this on camera. We'll see if this mirror would help. So with this is gonna be underneath, pretty much underneath your waterline. So you could close the eye and do that. That means it will now be transferred from the top and the bottom. But I'm just gonna do the top right now, or just underneath like an angle. Like I said, sometimes I'll have to stop, close, and then just continue on. And then get close to the lash line, because that's what's gonna help the lashes and the lash band look so much darker. And I love a dark lash band. Like, if you could see already the difference, how this looks a little bit more intense already than this one, if you really look close. All right, again, we're into the part. We're a little more cautious, because again, now too, you don't want it to accidentally touch that lighter color. That is gonna be tough to, you know, clean up, because again, it's a lighter color. So I try to keep my eyes closed, light strokes so they don't slip. Now if you look, right, now you see, if you look, is the difference right between this eye as opposed to this. Now it's really dark. I love, you know, not as intense, but still intense, right? I'm gonna, again, lightly. Gonna just do it. Careful with the front. Now it's a little bit more depth now to the eyes, if you guys can really see. That's where we at with it. So now the fun part. So the lashes I'm gonna use are gonna be these ones that are wispy. So we're gonna do these ones, and I'm gonna cut them. I kind of already know the size of my eye shape, so I'm just gonna trim them. You always want to trim your lashes, my love, unless your lash is really this like big, like your eyeballs is this big, you're gonna trim them. And you're always gonna trim them from the ends first. So you're gonna snip them, like each of them have like a kind of a knob. I don't know if you can see. And you're just gonna snip it so it could fit more comfortable, and so that the front doesn't come too much closer to the front of my eyeball, since already they water so much. You know, anything to avoid, you know, annoying it even more. So this is the piece that I have cut off. Now again, like I said, because I already know my eye shape, I already know how it's gonna fit on me. But you could just always just place it on, measure it that way. See like if it would like fit or work for you. Now, because this is a calm look, I went with this style of a lash. It still gives that natural look. It still gives that wispy look. It still looks good with this because the look is not dramatic. If it was dramatic, then I would pop out my fluffier lashes. So I'm probably not going to put these on camera, but we're going to attempt one eyeball. Okay, we're going to attempt one eye, okay? I have the Duo Lash Glue. This is the one that has a brush on it. Now, I probably might switch. I hear Kiss has a really good one, and I ordered that for my kit when I do clients, but I'm probably going to get that one because it's something about this one that's just not doing what I needed to do. So we're just going to take it, brush it on the band. And then I'm going to wait till they get kind of tacky. And this dries down clear. So this is this color because it dries clear. So this is what it's looking like. So we're going to wait a little bit. Now, I might attempt to use these tweezers, which these are not for lashes. I have some coming in the mail. These is, of course, to get the little stray hairs. We'll see if I use those or just use my finger. I think I like, you know. I can't wait to do the lips because we look so crazy right now. At least our face came together. Now we look like we have life again, which is great because we was looking a little crazy. All right, so we are gonna attempt to do this on camera. Honey, I promise you, if this messes up on camera, coming off, and then we're gonna do it off of camera. Okay, so I'm gonna look on my eyes a little bit in the middle. Push it down, then go to the end. So I'm using my fingers. Like I said, these aren't tweezers for lashes. Push it up a bit. And then the same with the front. Close to the lash line. Oh, wow. Now me get on the first try, honey, on camera with you guys. Okay, what? Wow. Look at my Jesus. Okay. Then you just want to push it up. They say you want to like pinch it, but either or. Pinch it. And then there we go. We have our lashes on, ladies and gentlemen. You see, because I cut it, it's not looking crazy on the ends. It's not hanging off or anything like that. Now it's still a little bit blue, but it's going to dry down clear 100%. So yeah. Now again, we chose these lashes because it still looks natural. It just looks fluffy, natural lashes. It still adds a little bit of drama, but it's not too much to where it's thick and you can't see this nice lid color that we have. We still wanted that to peek out. That's why we chose these lashes. Okay, so they look like, okay. And these are from Amazon, and I think these are supposed to be mink lashes, but I like them because the band is really thin. I do have other ones, but the band is so thick. But what I will say about those, they do loosen up. They do loosen up. I will say that much. Yeah, I'm hoping that you guys learned something from me. You know, this is my first video, guys. My first of many. And I really hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys could go back, recreate this look, show me you guys' recreation. You know, like, this is a new journey for me. You know, I've been doing makeup for years, but then I stopped, you know. That's just another story time. And so getting back into it, you know, it's nerve-wracking a little bit, you know. But the good thing is, a lot of things that I did today was a first, and I'm glad that I'm sharing it with you guys. You know, that's really cool. Like, I really want you guys to be on this journey with me as I build back up my clientele, as I build my business back, as, you know, I get back into doing makeup. You know, I love makeup. It's therapeutic, I guess you could say, but also is me being of service, you know. And I just love everything about makeup and the artistry, and I'm hoping that I can help you guys fall in love with makeup. It's more than just, oh, let me just look pretty. It's also on the inside as well. So I'm hoping that I'm able to help you guys really see the beauty within yourselves more than just putting product on your face. You know, that just adds to it. Let's see what we could do. Okay, on the middle, on this end. There we go. I think my Jesus is showing me extra love today because, honey, when I tell you, sometimes this is like pulling tooth and nails to put these lashes on. Honey, thank you, God, Jesus, the heavens, okay, the whole squad. Thank you, Lord. You know, asking shall receive, okay? I did more than ask, I begged, okay? So this is where we are. This is where we are with our lashes. Don't they look like just fluffy and natural and pretty? And this is what we're looking like. Okay, it's a little bit blue, so we're still gonna let that dry down a bit. Once it does, depending on, say if you made like a little mistake, you go back over with a black liner, gel liner, or some black eyeshadow, just to, you know, finesse it a little bit more. Depending on how this dries, I probably would do the same, just a little bit more deeper, if anything. Like I said, I'm gonna probably not do black liner. I think it looks good like this, but we are gonna do some mascara. But before we do that, we're gonna set this puppy. Okay, So I'm going to go back in with this again. See what we have here. Back a little bit. Oops. Ooh. Then setting, because you want this baby to set and stay all day. Okay, while we outside and play. Ooh. I should start wearing a cape because that goes everywhere. It's kind of ridiculous. So this is where we at with it. Now, like I said, we're going to add some mascara to the bottom. I naturally do have long lashes. And one mascara that is tried and true and never did me wrong ever in life. L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara, Carbon Black. Until it accentuates my lashes even more when people think I'm wearing false lashes, especially when I do this and do what I did with the tight line. Now, I'm just going to do bottom mascara. So just a tiny, tiny bit. And you're going to see even my bottom lashes are long. Like, you can see it. You know. So, yeah, we're going to do that. And the mascara that I have, the eyeliner that I have on, I like it, but I think I'm going to try to look for another one for you guys because I could see it's like transferring a little bit. And I'm not really a fan of that. So I'm going to look for another one for you guys. And I'm going to keep you guys posted on that. Again, just we'll go through. And then we're almost done. Front. And this is what we are looking like. So we loves. I hope we loves. I know you guys were terrified before thinking, girl, I told you it was going to come together in the end. You just got to trust the process, okay? If you don't trust me, trust the process. But that means you got to trust me too, though, okay? I wouldn't stay you wrong. Now for the lip, we're going to do... This is a NYX lip pencil in Espresso. Let's see. Just line the lip a little bit. Now, I don't draw outside the line. Like, I draw my actual lip. I'll do that to kind of move it a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Now, these are okay pencils. But one that I discovered, LA Girl Perfect Precision. Honey, when I tell you this is smooth as butter, honey. But I need to get more colors. That color is called Buff. That's more so, like, literally that's my lip color, but better. But we're about to see a little combo that we come up with right now. We're gonna line a lip. Let's go crazy. Hold up now. Okay. Looking a little better. And these have like a stiffness to it. It's like, it's not a smooth glide. Yeah, that is not the greatest. No, you could always heat it up a tiny bit because it's still creamy. Go like heat it up a little bit. You see, does my lips look like not in sync? Hold up now. Okay. So we're gonna fill this a tiny bit, right? We're gonna try something out, right? We just experimented today. So we're gonna do that, right? We're gonna start there. And then, yeah, this is what we started. My bad, guys. Now let's see something. This one I just told you about. We're gonna do that in the middle. Just a little bit. Just too crazy. Just, you know, kind of blending it. But it kind of meets her. Just a tiny bit. Work with me, guys. Walk with me. Walk with me. It look like a little ombre now. As you can see. Like, oh, little ombre. It's so dry, my gosh. Tiny bit, nothing too crazy, nothing wild and crazy. Now, we're gonna take NYX. NYX is a tried and true, honey. Most affordable thing ever in life. We're gonna do NYX Butter Gloss and Fortune Cookie. Now, this is more so pinky. I don't think the swatch online looks like what it actually looks like, and I don't like that, but it has a pinky, but depending on the liner that you use underneath, you can draw more so. It conforms pretty much to that. So, this is a brownie pinky, so we're gonna do the 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So, bring it up. So now this is kind of like, so I really don't like that heavy liner of, that heavy lip color of liner, and like it's just not cute to me at all, to no capacity. Not really my vibe, you know. This other one called Maybelline. This is more brownie. There's a tiny bit. And this little neutral color right there. Little blend of the pink and brown. And this is where we at. I hope you guys love what we came up with. And again, this was in my intro video, but I'm gonna let my hair down so you can see the full effects of it. All right, love bunnies, this is the final product. I told you it was all gonna come together at the end. I hope you guys love this look. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me recreate it for you guys, as well as add a little tips and tricks and a little bit of teachings in the midst of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this first ever video and makeup that I did on my page. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is going to be an amazing journey. And I'm going to end it with this. The true foundation of beauty starts within. Makeup is just the cherry on top. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night. I love you guys very much, and thank you so much. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, pretty.